before comments start, but checking in. I have Jim with us today.
Don't you have to do the hands?
Yeah. What's going on? Jim's with us today. Jim is one of the co-founders of Vanquish Products. He's on Instagram, Facebook, Ripper Machinist, if you haven't or weren't aware of his pages there. You can see he's the one that does the programming for all the CNCs for the most part. Short end of course, there's 100 things that all of us have to do, and there's a lot beyond just CNCing, but Jim has been here from the start. And so I brought in one of the old ones here. This hangs on our wall in the office. It's the original XR10. I brought in one of your Wraiths too. I think these are prototypes.
Yeah.
Because these aren't not anodized, no lasering.
No scratches, really.
Yeah. A little, I think, that looks like curb paint. Probably more curb than any rocks this thing was ever. Yeah, the skid plate is pretty much new. But the
dust for it, yeah.
Yeah, the dust is authentic and vintage also.
Patina.
Yeah, that's. I think it's easier than paint. Is just to let them sit on the wall for years. He even has a Tamiya plug still. Didn't somebody ask us if we had a NiCad battery would fit in something? I was like, ooh, I think there's still one in the back of this truck.
We just need to get the old basic.
Power.
Yeah. The manual ones from Tamiya.
Yeah. What are they called? Mechanical speed control, right?
Yeah, like 3-speed.
I never owned one. Never drove one. Every car I ever had an electronic one.
As a kid, that's all I had.
Yeah, I didn't get a first RC till 2004, hobby grade. So it had like a Novak Rooster in it.
That was big dollars for me as
Yeah.
a kid.
Well, my first one was a Tamiya TXT, which you have yours here, and it's still like stock. So that was still hanging on the wall. Anyway, hopefully our comments start rolling in. We'll see those before too long, and then we'll be able to let you guys know. But hopefully everyone can check in, and maybe that is why they were showing up, but I had to hit this little lever at the bottom. Yes, like, subscribe, all the like and sub for a V2 Ripper. He's already been banned. He's been banned. Yeah, no. Is Josh still on lunch break? I just got back from lunch. It was a late lunch. But
What's up, Bob?
Is Bob in here? Look at that.
Mr. Tarvin.
The ASD event was good. Spent a couple of days up there. Jim came and joined us as well. He brought his original Ripper. We probably should have brought that in.
Should tell Brandon that's why I watch him. Bring it over.
Oh, did you bring it back?
No, it's at home still.
Yeah. Jim drove his. Jim's got the prototype 1, and I've got number 2. And we both still drive them, but I think you've probably driven yours more this year than I have. Actually, I know you have, because I haven't driven mine this year.
I think I've let other people drive it more than I have.
Yeah, he kept just handing it to everybody at the event. Like, you can go drive it. You can go drive it.
I tell them to put scratches and dents in it, and they don't want to.
Yeah, I know. They were just nervous. Like, nah. Like,
no, go ahead.
I think
that's character.
The original Ripper project was Jim was the one who kind of decided that we were going to make that happen. I was designing up a cage to build out of steel like I normally would.
Yeah.
You're like, let's just mill it, which sounded like a ridiculous idea at the time. But you were going to do body panels for a Yeti that year.
We were doing something for Casey Curry at that time.
Yeah.
We just changed it up on the fly.
So yeah, he was going to machine body panels for a Yeti, and then it just turned into
Mike's bringing a Ripper in, but not the original style.
So yeah, that was we started that in like maybe June or July that year, and got it done in like.
It took longer than we thought.
It did take longer than we thought. It was definitely more involved than we thought it was going to be, but
it was worth it though.
It was. I remember finding one of the. We had a Blem hood, and you're like, let's go hit it with a hammer in the parking lot and post it on the internet just to see what people do. Ooh.
I forgot about that one.
That was people. I remember it taking a lot harder of a whack than we thought it would.
Someone was talking about the speed control. I didn't do super Blackfoot. I had the regular Blackfoots back then.
Oh. Did any CNC Yeti panels exist? No.
Never finished it.
That was the idea. And
We were trying to take his trophy Jeep and turn it into a Jeep to the Yeti was the original.
right. And then you handed me the models for that stuff, and we kind of just like rescaled and adjusted to fit on this.
Yeah, it just seemed to make more sense.
It did. Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm sure Yeti people are wishing that would have happened as well. But
I think this will kill most people that sits underneath my desk.
yeah, this is all Cerakoted, perfectly white. Jim had this done at one of the last ones that we had here, and I think it has as much dust as that Wraith does. So it should be even more white than it is. But it's oh, you even have the white Cerakoted tanks with black IFRs. That looks really good.
I pretty much told actually Bob what I kind of wanted. He's the one that kind of handled everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've really looked at this thing that much. Probably because it sits under your desk and gets kicked. But
You get kicked much.
yeah, not as much as it could. But yeah. So anyway, you're the one who handles the machines. I'm sure that there's information. You and I have talked recently about wanting to show a little bit more on like the machines side here.
Yep.
And
it's how to put that out for people. It still protects what we're doing and shows new stuff without showing what we're going to do yet, because can't tell everyone everything until it's out.
Yeah, that's the big thing. And but I think that we're going to find a way to do that and experiment some more. And hopefully once we've got events here that are going to kind of take up the next few weeks, but after that, it'll get going a little while. You know what? You remember we live streamed on the Vanquish Facebook page the original milling of the hood.
We tried to. It didn't work.
I think we did it, didn't we?
It didn't work much.
Didn't it?
Like it went out like in 10 minutes or something. It just didn't work.
I was gonna say, I was like, man, I'd have to go back and see if that's still there, because I remember like I put a webcam inside of the. Did we do that in the brother?
The TC brother, yeah.
Yeah, put a webcam in the brother and tried to live stream it. I didn't remember it not working, but
I think that was also you were kind of still learning how to do the live feeds and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure we could do it now and do a lot better.
Yeah, which the machining reels. I think people will do like you've put more and more of those out now.
Trying to it's hard to also stop what you're doing and set up cameras, keep going what you're doing, because like you're also doing a prototype, you're still stopping the machine a lot, so it doesn't look as cool on video.
You got to start, stop, try and wipe coolant off of the lens,
get the air hose reaching there.
Yeah, you made yourself a little GoPro mount for the indicator base, and you made me one as well at the same time. It's actually been really handy. I use that at home now. I think I brought it in here to shoot some video for the video of hopefully the axles that we do first.
Definitely handy with that base with the hydraulic.
Yeah.
To get any angle you want, just lock it in.
But we've been doing a lot more on the 5-axis stuff in the shop here recently. And that's been your push. It took us a while. It was an idea you had for quite a while, and it took us a little while to
grasp onto it. And now that we have them, we all seem to love them.
Yeah. I don't know how much you guys watch or know machining, but the standard 3-axis CNC is kind of the ones that you maybe see the most, where the tool comes down and just kind of moves around the part. The 5-axis is where everything is rotating around, and that's what a lot of the new axles and things like that are. Actually, more than just axles too.
Oh, I'm pushing everything now. I'm still running even like a 3-axis machine, just because all the tooling is just easier to switch.
Yep.
Setup time.
The other link is still up. I will figure that out. I still don't know why it puts up both videos, but I know that that's my issue that I have to figure out. Okay. So I try and put up. We do the casting on both Facebook and YouTube here, trying to push both. We do the first we're supposed to do the first 30 minutes on Facebook and YouTube, and then the full 1 hour long is on YouTube only. But so we use a restream thing to do both, and causes me a little hiccup. That's my technical difficulties. How much faster is a 5-axis compared to a 3?
It's not really faster in some ways. We actually have also what we call Brother CNCs. Brothers the brand. They make a lot of fast little lightning fast machines, and if you're just trying to do one part really quick, and those machines are insane, it's when you start getting all to the other angles and kind of dancing around a part. We've actually seen it actually helps us a little bit in some cycle time because we're able to do roughing on multiple angles and save a lot of time. So technically, the machine could be slower in some ways, but then faster in another way. So it's kind of a trade off, especially if it's an extra complex part. Then I'm seeing faster cycle times. But if we're like doing rims or something, we usually keep them down to the fast three axis machines.
A lot of parts can take. You put in your raw stock material and you'll do an operation, and then you can have to take and flip them to do another operation. You could have to do that maybe even more a second time or a third time, depending on what it was. Who knows? But the 5-axis stuff has helped.
Yeah, and the 5-axis machines are also kind of bigger, heavier, slower in some ways. But the little machines have like actually don't even have actually motors in the spindles. They're actually servo-driven spindles, so their tapping is insanely fast. Tool changes is fast, but they can't take a harder cut. They deflect a lot more, so you have to kind of be a little more cautious with those ones too.
Right. Brothers, it's like just like Yamaha, but Brother, they make printers and label makers and CNC machines. And
yeah, and sewing machines, which just goes along with how they're fast machines and stuff.
It is pretty interesting just to see. Like when I first saw the Brother machine, I was like, "Is that the?" It's got the same logo and everything. I was like, "Oh, never would have guessed."
Or in our original one is actually at Holmes now.
Yeah, like I said, Jim's one of the co-founders of Vanquish, and it started as one machine in this complex that we're in. And that was a TC31A?
Yeah. Pallet changer, like 26 tools or 24 tools, I think.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy that here, that thing had how much memory?
16K or something.
Yeah, 60K. Like, it's like a decent sized text file is, and that was all the memory it had, which is.
You learn to get efficient.
Yeah.
Make sure it's one X to go across instead of multiple X's. You have to keep the program size as small as possible. Sometimes actually can dictate design.
Both of these sets of wheels on this car here were made on that, weren't they?
Originally we were doing SLWs.
The
DHs I can't remember because we actually had a Kitamura horizontal back then. I think we moved those over there.
Oh, the big one. But yeah, those
SLWs did start over there.
Because I think that's a V1, isn't it? No, that's like a V3. But yeah, the SLWs, all those on that, the SLW hubs.
Yeah.
I mean,
I forgot about stuff.
The original revolvers were done on that, weren't they?
Probably.
Yeah. The Dirty Harrys are.
We only had so many machines, so if we needed a part, that was the machine it was going to be on.
Yeah. These are the Dirty Harrys on this one. These are the original Dirty Harrys.
I think we're even doing beadlocks too. That's all we had.
Yeah. These had this 6-hole pattern on them, and they held weighted slugs that went in them. There was stainless steel ones and brass, and the brass actually had a firing pin look in the center, or not a firing pin. Revolver. Yeah, not a firing pin, but a primer. Yeah, and I remember
we even had the stamp to put our name around the edge too.
Right. I remember learning that, like back in the day when we were traveling to competitions and everything, though, that it was much better if I decided to use my stainless steel slugs when I was flying.
Because of the airplanes, yeah.
Because you get on an airplane with wheels that look like they have.
Remember the shirt?
Oh, yeah.
Which had all the bullets and the car on top of it?
Yeah, that was a mini crawler.
And I didn't even think about it. We actually had my son had that shirt and went to junior high with it. One of the teachers sent us a little comment.
I remember watching that photo shoot happen back in the day on RCC Live. They were like live broadcasting while they were doing that. That would have been.
I think you told me or something. We got banned from like your guys' company website because of some of those things.
Yeah, but when I worked in engineering and consulting, the RC crawler was flagged as and I couldn't go to it at work, so I had to go to Badger back in the day had a proxy called Badger Racing, and it was exactly RC crawler. Everything was on there, but it was just on a different URL, and I could use that one instead. But look at there, great parts wheel. Yeah, there was I came in 2016 here. So until then, there was, I mean, until me coming and bringing all kinds of help, like you were just having to do it all on your own.
Yeah. It was actually nice when you came over. It's like finding someone who's intelligent, smart, knew computers well, or whatever, and could accommodate any little task, like figure it out. Because a lot of us would, me and Steve were figuring it out on the fly.
Yeah, I mean, no.
We get a lot of complaints about parts available and don't realize we were still a small company doing our best and working a lot of hours.
Yep. It's, I mean, even when I came here in 2016, we don't have a lot of the same machines we had then. Some of them, of course, but
I think we're down to 2.
we had the 3 on that back wall, the D&M, the brothers,
Oh, you did?
and the 15 was here over as well.
So 4.
Yeah.
All right.
So, it's machinery constantly being updated, things like that. It's been fun to watch everything continuously change.
Well, the company was started with a bunch of used equipment because that's what we could afford, built up, and then as time goes by, we were able to buy better equipment
Right.
and kind of get set up for the future. People have always complained about parts availability, and they don't realize that a lot of parts were programmed on a machine that went bye-bye. And it's hard to spend the time to say, do we want to do an old part or this nice shiny new part on the nice new machine that will continuously make that part and we'll always have that part in stock.
Right. That's been a lot, like this car in front of us, it's got the XR10 parts.
The axles, like on that one, people wanted, they were like on the old DMH, the old horizontal. It was even before you.
Gotcha. So yeah, I thought some of that was on the red mat service, but
and yeah, we can move some stuff over again. We have to refixture it, retool it.
Right. And that's been if you guys have ever made that comment before, like, yeah, can you make these again? A lot of times those decisions, it's just the machine is gone. It's not, and is it ever going to have the popularity that it did before? Sometimes we think that it will, and that's when parts do come back, but it's usually because it's on a new machine and all the new effort. But that's why some of that happens.
Now the recent machines we've been buying makes all those parts more sustainable.
Right.
So we're able to actually move a job we have like machines now, so we can actually move a job from one to the other, same fixture, bolt it up and go. A lot of those machines also have the same tool list, so all the tooling's in there. And if it doesn't, it just means we have to add that 1 or 2 tools that were specialized for a part.
Right. Talking about some of the OG wheels. Very first wheels were the original revolvers. Is that right?
The original wheel was that the one I did that no one liked the price.
Yeah,
because the first part.
It had it came up, there was a ring on the back, right?
Yeah, and that held the ring, slugs in the back.
Right. Was that not called the revolver?
The revolver was after that.
Was it?
Had like a basic one we simplified the face.
Right. It was more like the Dirty Harry, but not exactly, right?
A little like Dirty Harry, but we had loaded blinks from the back, and that was where it became a pain in the ass. That's why we rethought that Dirty Harry, so we load them from the front, and because everyone was constantly wanting to change it for different terrains or whatever.
Right. The adjustability of the wheels was a big thing then. That was the first time the adjustable hubs were a thing. On the Dirty Harrys, I think.
That was when I first started getting back into RC crawling. It was like Mayhem Engineering. It was like I was amazed at how much modifications people had to do to fit a rim onto a car, and I'm like, it shouldn't be that way.
Right. I remember back then because you'd either have to like drill out the center depending on if you were running a Berg or an AX10 and the type of hex that it had, and then we used to just buy wheels by the offset that we wanted. You'd buy an AX10 offset or you'd buy a Berg offset. Like that's how wheels were sold.
Yeah.
So you didn't just buy any set of wheels that you wanted and adjust the hub. It was all, you had to buy it for what you were working on.
And then reading RC Crawler, everyone had different opinions on what the weight should be.
Oh yeah.
And that's what we made weights.
Yeah. It's like, just change it this way.
Well, because you could do 2, I think it was 2, 3, 4, and 6 combinations that actually still kept balance on the wheel.
Yeah, the balancing, the things, and then you also had some people who only wanted like the same look regardless. So you made some like drilled out ones, so you could have more,
still look like a full set of revolvers. Or something.
Yeah, or if you wanted, just a little bit less weight but still weight. There were some guys who got really, really technical into that. Whether it was voodoo or not, it was all just like.
I mean, everyone. I always felt the opinion to never build something and say, this is the best way it could possibly be done. There's always gonna be those guys that can maybe tweak more than I can and actually find better ways. So why not give them the adjustability?
Yeah, or if it was based, where they're at or the terrain, whatever it is, there is no perfect answer, perfect setup to any of that
Terrain
stuff.
was one. I know someone was bringing up paintball guns. And it's like terrain was all. That's a big problem. Paintball guns. When we used to do paintball guns, we'd have this perfect prototype gun. Works so great. Go to production. Then find out people in Alaska are leaking air because the O-rings are smaller.
Which paintball is where you'd come from right before Vanquish, but it wasn't your own line, and that was why you wanted to.
Well, I kind of made something called Ripper Mill. And that was mine. But I was doing the design work for a guy named Bob Long. And so we were doing all the prototype design and production for him. And then we started trying to do our own little thing. And that's where we got making Vanquish to kind of do our own thing with RC cars.
Yep. So, and that was 2008?
Could have been earlier.
7 or 8.
I think I started the first Vanquish part design, like in-house to show Steve, was like 2006.
So, yeah. Sounds about right.
Some things that people will never see.
Right. I mean, talking about some of the OG wheels that Revolver, the Dirty Harry.
Even at the 1.9 ones.
The 1.9 Little Harrys.
Yeah.
Were those. We still had some of those when I was here. I think we kind of
Finally got through them.
or we found them in the back at the time and just.
Well, I think at that time, comp crawling kind of died.
Yeah.
So.
And it was just one of those things like, let's, go through stuff, find old stock, get rid of it or whatnot.
Well, it's like now people want SLWs again. But there's a time where SLWs weren't selling at all.
Oh, yeah. We blew them out for like $50 a set.
Yeah.
It was because people weren't buying them. And then I remember kind of when we were going through shop and things like that here, finding wheels that I was like, oh, I never saw these. These were never released.
Yeah,
these
prototypes or something.
Yeah, prototypes or branding things that just didn't work out in the end, and the wheels never saw the light.
That brand we did for KMC, the dual drift wheels.
Inky.
No, it wasn't Inky.
It wasn't Inky?
It was a different brand.
Koenig?
I can't remember.
We still have them.
But we did that for them so they can actually put them on whoever Ferrari was. They were using them. They actually put them on the CEO's desk.
Yeah, we still have a box of them. I know right where they are. Actually.
I think John Schultz had a set too.
Did he?
Yeah, because they were doing that Camaro car back in the day.
Oh, the Vitara Camaro.
Yeah,
oh.
We had one for that.
What's the black one called, and is it available? Someone said, just tuned in. What is the black one called, and is it available?
Oh.
This is not available anymore. This is the XR10, released in 2010. Yeah, right around then, 2009, 2010.
We were here, so yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it would have been October 2009. I think I got mine right before I went to Nationals that year.
I know we made parts here, and we started here in 2010.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I think it was right at the. Actually, I think.
2011.
Maybe it was 10. Because I remember I got it right before I went down to Disney, Oklahoma for Nationals that year. And Steve flew in to Disney for Nationals that year and brought prototype XR10 knuckles that you had made.
Is that where the place he called the sewer?
Yes.
Okay.
Steve got wild sick from
We were in a sewer.
from Disney, Oklahoma. Came back and the doctor's like, were you working in a sewer at all? This is... It's like, no, I was in a spillway in Oklahoma. I love Disney, though. So I don't know that Steve's returning, but I'll be back someday. But I remember driving that at Nationals that year. And, of course, it was a brand new, untested car. I should have just drove my Berg that I knew, but I wouldn't do it. Some things haven't changed. But
8mm bearings.
yes. This one here, the XR10 was a pretty interesting car because it was super modular. Brandon, who you've seen on this stream before, he designed the original one. And then Jim made a ton of different parts for it afterwards while they were still working separately. But the gearboxes had 5x8 bearings in them and they could be a failure point. So you went to 5x11 flange bearings to make them all fit.
At first, we actually rushed out and made bronze bushings, though.
Oh, that's right.
I remember the fastest thing we could do.
Yep.
They could still drop them in the stock units.
Yep. Yeah, the bushings first, then the motor plates, the gear cases.
It was a fun project, though. I liked it.
Oh, yeah. The XR10 was a blast. There was so many parts to this thing, though, with the upper link mounts, the cross shafts, the top halves to the axles all the way around. Was that year Nats at Disney? Yeah, Nats was at Disney that year. It might have been 2010.
And Brandon had some really good ideas in this thing, so
Yep, and it was fun. MOAs are, I guess if you guys don't know at all, it's got a motor on each axle. That's what MOA stands for. So this is, now everyone's big onto performance again, but still with shaft-driven trucks, like where this is much more. Like, if you really want performance, get an MOA. It will do things that your shaft-driven truck will never do. They're pretty incredible little robots. But yeah, that was a big thing for Vanquish was a huge name in this scene.
we jumped in pretty heavily.
Yeah,
I think we had some good ideas and some bad ideas, but like good ideas like servo armor that people still want.
the servo armor. You ever see these on the Vanquish buy sell page? I remember I could never run one because they didn't really work with Futaba servos. It's
was it Aerotronics or what was the one I was using?
High Tech, probably.
High Tech.
They were perfect for a High Tech, and that was
that's what I set it up for.
Yeah, that's what everybody was running at the time. 59, 55 High Techs. That was, what is this one? This one's got a 7950 TH. This one's a little bit more recent, but so, oh man, I do miss comp crawling. Comp crawling was a lot of fun. The scale comp crawling is still fun, and that's I like that competition style. Offers a lot there. Just the performance minded side in general.
If they would keep scale-ish idea and still push comp, I think it'd be better than what some of the monstrosities are today.
Yeah, that is can definitely be a thing.
So a lot of us prefer scale.
It's more fun to design and look at the scale stuff.
Because you remember like the supers. Those were hideous.
Supers are awesome, though.
I'm sure they perform great, but they're ugly.
They are ugly. You really have to appreciate comp crawlers like that, the supers, for their own reason. Because, yeah, they definitely don't resemble any type of...
said MOA over shafty. I don't care that's MOA. It still looks scale-ish and MOA. It doesn't have to be shafty to be scale, but like just the way that some of them are shaped or something. I don't know.
I wouldn't mind making
like a scared cat.
Yeah, that's just there's definitely some creations that you run across on a daily basis posted up that can make things interesting.
Yeah.
But I think I met you for the first time in Colorado for the Rocas Roja event.
Mm-hmm.
In what would that have been? 2009?
But we talked before.
Oh, yeah. Jim and I used to talk on the phone. Like, I'd call him on my way home and bitch about my engineering job while he was driving home as well. And then we talked all the time, like product stuff, whatever it was, just back and forth for years.
I still remember he finally got fed up at work because I kept offering him a job every time we talked.
Yeah.
One day he was like pissed off. He's like, is that job offer even serious? I'm always serious.
Yeah, like, well, all right.
Maybe I'll think about it.
Yeah, that was...
All right.
It had been some bad months in engineering, and I was sick of it. But it was, I came out here and visited, posted a photo of the front door. I think we still had that same old logo on that door.
No, we had to peel that off.
Did we?
Because they had that 299 now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, it was the other door. It was the packaging.
It's possible. We're pretty lazy about that stuff.
Yeah. The shop is not open to, like, general public, so we don't have, like, signs and things like that. But it was, did that, went back, thought about it for a little bit, and sold my house in Missouri and moved to California.
Surprised there's not more machining questions.
It's hard to ask machining questions, right? Like,
well, other than we get this part.
Yeah, exactly. That's the we did talk about brands a little bit with Brother. We pretty much have 4 brands in the shop.
Yes.
We have the Brothers, which we have a good handful of. Matsura is our biggest machines and the most of them.
Mm-hmm.
We have, how many Matsuras do we have?
4.
4. Okay. Because we got rid of...
We have just as many brothers, though. We have 4 brothers.
Yeah, 4 brothers, 4 Matsuras.
Smaller.
Then we've got... Yeah, exactly. They don't take up nearly as much room. We've got some Doosands with...
You're a half-hour mark.
Oh, we are at half hour. Thank you. Like I was saying, if you're on the Facebook side, go to the YouTube side. Vanquish Products YouTube page, you'll find the rest of that. But if you're on YouTube already, you don't have to worry about that part. So thanks for everybody over on Facebook. Jump over to YouTube if you want the rest of the show. Right. Thank you. I asked if it was harder to do wheels on the mill or table, on mill turn or table mill. I've had that question a number of times. People ask like about mill turn versus.
Well, I mean, the lathe is obviously going to make a more concentric part, stupid round part. But the mills are so precise. It's such a minute amount that no one would even understand if something was a little off. I mean, this is a pretty quality truck at the time, and the wheel wiggles.
Oh, yeah.
Like, nothing's 100% rigid like a real car. I mean, even though the tolerances that we put into is still more accurate than forged rims these days. So,
Right. Yeah.
we do our work on the mills for particular reasons for labor. We've had a lot less issues than with lathes for loading, because a lot of loaders are like, what is it, LNS loaders, which they fail 9 times out of 10 loading a bar for us. So it became a problem. Brothers and their drilling and tapping, when we have rims that have 24 tapped 164 holes. 164 is a very small thread.
Yeah.
And they could do that all day long without almost never breaking a tap. I did not have that kind of luck with lathes. So
yeah,
their lathes are also, when it comes to milling, a lot slower. Tool changes are slower. By the time you would even countersink all the holes on a rim, the brother would have already countersink drilled and tapped all those holes.
Right.
So there's huge time savings on certain areas.
Yeah, that's being while I've been here, we had a number of lathes, and now we don't have that same number of lathes. We do have the Swiss style machines, which those are Citizens, and those are super impressive little machines.
Their bar loaders work though.
Yeah, their bar loader is
made by them, so they make a great bar loader.
Right. They're so much different than the lathe. That's something else that hopefully we'll do some video stuff on here in the future after we do some like the axle stuff here before too long.
Average number of different tools used for wheels, I think it's 15 tools. That's handling op 1, op 2 as one operation.
Right. Yeah. Those brothers, they don't have wild, huge tool changers, other than I guess our 32BN, right? It's got
that one is 41.
Right. Which is what, like the number of tools you can use in a machine, depending on the number of jobs, can get up there. Like our biggest Matsura, the MAM, what's it at? 320 tools, and it's like the rack on the backside. They're in these rows or matrix style tool changer, and it's 10 feet long of tools.
It's the length of this room and about a third of the room.
Yeah,
so it's a big tool changer.
Yeah, just holding tools up to 2. I mean, we were talking about how accurate a wheel can be in balancing. But some of the other, we've talked about it before, but we have a tool balancer picked up in 21. Is that right?
About right.
And we talked about like balancing a wheel on it or things like that, like making it
during all the guys doing drag racing,
right?
Because that would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how much I know those guys are. Some of them are balancing their wheels.
Yeah, balanced by probably balance like a gravity fed, but this one would be able to tell you exactly what to take for weight out of the rim.
Yeah, but it would be interesting just to see spinning up like just a 1.9, just to see what that would actually come out to be. But,
I think you'd be surprised how close it is, because even though we're doing on mill, the mills are very accurate. What we have, because a lot of them also have scales for accuracy and stuff. But we also probe for second operation, so when those probes are so tuned in, it's like you're within a couple 10,000ths of an inch, if that. So the work from back to front is so concentric. Yeah.
Right. The probing stuff in machines, if you guys have never seen that before, is also pretty wild to see. So they just kind of reach it down. It's got this little, almost like a glass tip on it, and
it's ruby.
Ruby tip. Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know that.
It's like super durable. It's accurate. The temperatures don't really affect it very much.
So it goes down, and it can just touch. You have to tell it where to actually
You're
go.
programming what you think it's going to be and what tolerance you want to give it, and you can tell what to do. And you can just use it as a measurement. You can use that to write macros to figure out stuff. It's kind of what we do with all the heights and stuff.
Yeah. So it's cool to be able to watch that machine come down, check a bunch of things, and then it can go from there. And you don't even know what it's doing beyond, or I don't. I know what I think it's doing, but I figure past that.
I said I'd always teach you.
Yeah, I know.
Someone said you have robotic cells.
Oh yeah.
So I think it was Asmal material up there before, but we do a lot of pallet loading where the robot arm is swapping out pallets of the machine. Now, pallets are manually loaded by a human. So,
and a pallet for most of us think of a wood 42 by 42, but
I guess I talk differently.
a pallet for like in our world here is a block of some sort or a base of some sort that you put something on top of, whether it's a
fixture table,
a fixture that we made that goes upright and is super tall and has multiple faces, or if it's flat and it's got parts that sit on the top of it. But we'll just have racks of these pallets. We have machines that have 45 pallets.
Yes.
And we have machines that go down to 16?
15 on the PC.
15 on that one. That's our lowest, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, which is pretty wild to actually think of.
We got a 45, we have a 40, we have a 16, we have a 40 again, we have a 15. So we're getting another 4. We have machines with 2 pallets.
The 24, yeah. So yeah, and then so those machines, there's all those pallets, and a robot will grab them, take it, put it into the machining area, and then when it's done, swap it out and grab a new one. And that gives us all of the runtime that are on those. So people can be gone. The shop doesn't have to have people here, and it can run for a very long time, depending on the machine or what jobs are on each pallet. If each pallet was only 5 minutes, then it wouldn't be very long. But
some machines can go a couple days.
Yeah.
We always try to buy machines that can at least 24 hours because, in the end, we are fighting China with labor. They can hire 10 guys to our one. I mean, if we can put a robot on the floor that can help us with the labor of 10 guys to one, helps us out a lot.
Right. We can run, that way at least overnight, the shop is still running when we come back in the morning, but no one had to be here to handle it. And there's things that go along with that. Like we have tool checking inside of the machines that can check to make sure a tool didn't break. And if it did break, it'll shut down.
We can do different things with it, though. In most cases, I just let it shut down. It's just not worth it. You can actually have it swap tools. You can do all kinds of things with it. Just how fancy you want to get with it.
Right.
It's rare for us, though, because we also have all the machines have tool monitoring where we put a certain amount of hours on a tool. Say a half-inch emerald has 200 hours. At 200 hours, it flags the machine. Keeps running, but it tells us, hey, you need to change this out and reset our timer.
Right.
So we're pretty consistent on that stuff.
So, that side of it is pretty impressive to watch. The robots. Some of them are that robot arm like you've seen on TV, that big axis robot that reaches in and grabs something and puts it away. Some of them are just these big, like a forklift on a train track, kind of. So
basically what it is.
Yeah, just depends on which machine and which type of pallet that we've got on them.
And different kind of automation systems for different kinds of levels of production or whatnot, weights of parts too, and how big the parts you want to be.
Yeah, the different machines have different size capabilities. Some of them, it's best to work with parts that are familyed up in big, longer, taller blocks, and some of them are smaller. So it all just depends on which one. And when we purchase each machine, we usually have an idea specifically of what we're going to do with it. And so that's that has to be put into because the cost between one of those different styles can be 2 or 3 times as much depending on how big.
And also make sure it fits the family of parts that we want to do.
Yeah. So it's we could just buy the smaller ones all the time and do the same work. That'd be great, but it's just
we have to finance so much.
Yeah, exactly. Have you guys ever thought of selling blemished ones like under the guise of scratch and dent? Trust me, it's been something, and you would probably cringe at the times you've seen us load a scrap bin full of parts that are just slightly blemished, but no.
a scratch and dent is pretty much what we've only done was plating errors.
Yeah, if there's a plating error where it's not the right finish, or maybe it's the tiniest of imperfection, then we've put those up. We have a section on the website called Outlet where some of that stuff exists when it pops up. But other than that, if it's not right, we just don't want to sell it.
I think we've thrown away 200 axles.
Yeah, I remember.
It's not a good one day. I was pretty annoyed by the operator not checking his parts.
Yeah, which that just filling a scrap bin with perfectly shiny, brand new rock jocks. Just at the time they were called rock jocks. The new ones are not called rock jocks.
Due to international copyright.
Yeah. It looks like Godzilla, but it's not Godzilla. So, I mean, before I came on, you were having to do a million things around the shop, so there wasn't time to necessarily go handle everything you wanted to. And when I came, I kind of dove into a couple little areas here and there, but there was parts where we didn't know why they had been put aside or whatnot. So
you have to make a decision.
When we were setting up a new inventory system and a new inventory area with racking and a new computer system to go along with it, we had to clean out things that we didn't know. And I remember sitting there and just filling a 55-gallon drum or two.
And part of the problem is, we didn't really have a general manager back then, which, I mean, one thing, you have a general manager have less problems, but then they still cost you a lot.
Right. So
there's a trade-off.
Yeah. And I was just like dumping these beautiful parts in. And I was just like, it's either that or you have to go through and check every single one to make sure that they're, but
sometimes you got to walk away.
Sometimes you just have to call it and move on. And I know that was really hard for me at the start.
Yeah.
Now I've become a little bit more numb to it, but
it's not that bad.
It's not. No, like,
I mean, a lot of the automation has helped us out to spend more time with the parts. So
yeah,
taking a lot of load off of us.
It gets checked, or the fact that the robot's doing work, so an operator can go through and he can run multiple machines and have lots of time to check his parts. So it is it helps in a lot of ways. The amount of labor that we need or how we can utilize it is a lot different now than it was 7 or 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Even my day's gotten easier.
You get to hang out with me all day. So
that's the hard
part. Will Vanquish ever come out with a 124 scale crawler? It would be awesome. We would love to make a really nice 124 scale, but I guess that's something that we've talked about before, but the amount of time it takes to make a part that's, say, an axle that's a 124 scale size versus a Wraith size, and
probably wouldn't be a big time difference because you have to use a lot of smaller tools and it slows down a lot.
Right. So you have almost the same amount of machine, or close to, probably a little
less.
It could
get faster,
but it's not this wild difference. And yeah, the material is less, but that's
stack up more parts though.
Yeah, it's you end up having to build this machine time at this hourly rate that with what that 124 scale market is has defined is not very much money. So it's hard to say, yeah, that seems like that's a good idea or a viable idea, not a good or bad idea, but viable for we make a lot of parts right here. And in the last 5 years or so, we have started making more and more things, like the molded stuff, and that comes from overseas. And
the brass you hate.
The brass, but it we still, most things we focus on are here. So it's what we still have to consider that with everything that we do decide. A 1/6 scale crawler would be awesome. You'd been saying that way before there was one available.
I've been saying that before you were here.
Yeah, exactly. So
maybe I'll do a prototype for myself.
A big ripper, just
not
one.
For sale.
Yeah, exactly. There's only one. It sits on his desk, and you can all be mad about it.
Or maybe make it the desk.
Yeah. The amount of ancillary projects we talk about here is pretty high. There's we should make monitor mounts or desks or.
I wish we had more people sometimes because we do have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
And we can only do so many in one day. So
time in the day, the decision to go stop a machine that's making parts.
Stop a machine to do a video.
Yeah. When I started and I was shooting video here, but in the other office where there was a machine right next, and there was one machine that was so loud, and they had showed me how to optional stop, so it would stop at a tool change or whatever, M1, whatever it was, and then get it going again. Well, I did my video, turned the machine back to run, but I forgot to take optional stop off. So it just stopped again at the next M1. I was like,
my
oh, I forgot to turn optional stop
All
off.
night long.
My bad. I didn't turn machines off all that much more often after that, but not never. So, the background, bunch of EP trucks, then a pooping flamingo toy.
It's the greatest.
If you're not aware of what this is the Gotta Go Flamingo. And you should all buy one and bring it to Proline by the Fire to have James Knight sign it.
Not to be confused with the turd tool.
Yeah. There's also the turtle, but I think you should all get yourself the Gotta Go Flamingo and bring it to Proline by the Fire.
It is a lot of laughter.
It is a lot funnier than we ever thought it would be. And it has been quite the hit here at the shop. So,
It basically poops magic sand.
yeah, it's not been bad. I like it. It's been quite fun.
Very entertaining.
So, I can already see the sand becoming an issue. I think at least they vacuumed it here. I spilled some earlier because I didn't know somebody used it, and the toilet was full when I moved it to that shelf. But I've learned. Where did you buy the flamingo? I bought it at Amazon. So you can find it there. And I'm positive that James Knight will be very excited to see all of them Brian brought to Proline. Make it happen. We need it. I can tell that I didn't turn off the Facebook side correctly.
Good job.
Again, I'll figure it out. But anyway. So let's Flying Cars. I'm positive you haven't watched that movie yet, so we can't talk
Was
about
that RC one or something?
Yes.
No, I didn't watch it.
it's worth the watch.
You said it wasn't that good.
You know, after I've watched it a dozen times or so, it's better every single time. I bought my first Vanquish last week. Now I'm on my third kit build today. I now have 2 Phoenix kits and a Pro kit. These kits are made of amazing quality. What a pleasure these kits. They're great kits to build. I've built myself a lot of trucks. I own all the cars. I work here and then I go home and I still play with RCs. So it's very here. It's not like just working on an RC car all day. Our day to day here is more making a machine shop run, and we talk about RC. Meetings are about RCs, which is great.
I figured out what's coming down the pipe and how to execute.
So it's not the same thing as like, the making your job, your hobby, your job, that type of thing. It's got a lot of differences, which still make RC a lot of fun for me. And you've done a lot more RC in the last 2 years than you have.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back into it more.
So
you guys have been helping out with that. I love building stuff. Just haven't made time to go out as much.
Right.
But my kids are getting older now, so I have more free time.
Yes. That's so the Baja Ray 2.0 out now, and he plans to re-release the VP rear axle for them. We did talk about that when the Hammer Ray and Baja Ray 2.0 came out. It's been discussed. It just hasn't been something that's been decided. So maybe not. It's on a machine that we do still have, but so it could be. But the machine that it made those before is making a lot of parts now that we still need a lot of. So deciding to take something away to do something else is, we have to decide what's going to be the better decision there. My first Vanquish purchase was back in 2013. It was the Rock Jock Curry axle for the SCX10. New bright build using the GCM chassis rail has been hooked ever since. Yeah, the SCX10 Curry is the original. Which ones came first, the AR60 or the SCX10?
I think it was the SX10.
Yeah, that would make sense.
The other one after, because I'm pretty sure it was the X10 one.
Yeah,
That's
that
a long time ago and a lot of parts ago. It's hard to remember sometimes.
yeah, that yeah, okay, I do remember those. Yeah, so the 2012 Jeep JK came out, and those came out right along with that for the most part.
Probably.
Oh wait, no, that wouldn't be right. It'd be before that. Either way, I don't remember which one was first. But yeah, the Currys were such a huge. That wasn't the first axle though. The very first axle you had was the Wraith axle for the AR60, or the AR60 axle.
But we also did an SCX10 afterwards too.
Right. The original Wraith was like the AR, just a replacement AR60 size. But I remember I bought some aluminum axle housings for mine from RC Four Wheel Drive at the time, and I installed them, and I was super mad because I couldn't use the aluminum C hubs that you had made, and I was running already.
Yeah.
Because they like changed the profile on the end of their axle.
That's actually now remembering. They did push us into the axle market
Yeah.
because of that.
Because I called and I was like, yeah, I can't use these things. I gotta use theirs that came with these aluminum housings. Since you're like, oh,
So we made an axle fit RC hubs.
yeah. So you made an axle after that, and that's where, yeah, that was the first axle, I think.
That's what pushed us into it.
Yeah, you're all welcome.
I mean, we all had plans for it eventually. We just never jumped in yet.
Exactly. Likely story. All my fault. You heard it here first. It's on the internet now. But no. The axle side, that was, I mean, before that it was wheels, a lot of, well, I mean, all the XR10 stuff, all of that.
C hubs, knuckles,
Lots of C hubs and knuckles.
transmissions,
Yeah, the aluminum transmission cases, the SCX10
gear guards.
and gear guards. Yeah. The gear guard. What's Jim's favorite VP to date? Favorite VP part? Favorite part you've ever made for VP?
I mean, I would say Ripper, but it's many parts. So
Yeah. Specifically the hood.
it was a challenge. It was fun, but it's kind of hard to say one thing. I kind of like everything we do.
Yeah.
That's why I put my passion between every part we make in design. It's like
It's hard to not like RC parts. I don't know. I don't know why more people don't RC. They're awesome.
some of the new axles too. Doing the one piece design was pretty fun too.
Oh yeah, that on the Rock Chalk for the first time,
I
right?
started doing rock chalks.
Yeah.
Even like the latest F10T, I really like that one. So I've been wanting that one. That one sat on my desk. People don't realize for almost 3 years.
Yeah, the F10T that you got, that we released a year and a half ago or so. That was a 3D printed assembled prototype. Like, yeah, 3 years prior to it. Basically, shortly after the release of the D44. Maybe the F9 for the Pro was before it as well, but
All I know is that part sat on my desk forever and drove me nuts.
yeah, it was done and it was just sitting there, and we just never decided to make it happen. And then we came out with the Phoenix afterwards, which is a similar import brand flare, and it was like, okay, well, it's time to maybe make that happen. And we had got the 5-axis machines not long before you decided to dive into that one.
I also bought those on. I hope we can do those parts.
Yeah, that was kind of
challenge to get them off.
right. So yeah, that's
They're still asking the number on this one. You have to give it a number.
oh, I never lasered a number on this, did I? This isn't in my spreadsheet.
I think since it already got assembled, that'll never happen.
Well, neither yours or mine has a number on it either. So, but this is a regular production one. The difference between the production and prototype rippers, the prototypes don't have a light bar. They don't have this down bar here. The number panel and the mounts for the number panel are not on the prototype. And then the bars behind this body panel in the door area are different in the production ones. So those are really the only differences. The prototype ones, the number panels were milled into the side panel. And after Jim and I were running ours a lot, we were, they'd get hit and bent if you're driving the car hard, and it would kind of want to like pull the whole body panel out with it, which was just annoying. It didn't really cause anything, but
It didn't look good afterwards.
yeah.
Even though I don't mind dents and stuff. But
Right. We were like, yeah, we like the dents, but we don't really like this like twist. That's just not as cool. I'm a tool snob. What brand calipers, micrometers do you prefer?
I use a lot of Mitutoyo right now. I used to be different. I look at some other brands, but our tool supplier always has them. And if I ever feel like something went wrong with them, I kind of toss them and get a new one. They always have Mitutoyos on sale. Mitutoyos do a really good job.
Those are the ones I have. Although mine might have a. I don't think that's a grind mark. I think that was.
I think you ground on yours.
I don't think it's grinding marks, but
I think I called you a caveman when I saw that.
yeah. Those are not. Those don't stay at work now. Those are at home. So, the how tough was it to make the XR10 toppers? It looked like it was a lot of machining.
It was. It took a little while too because the machine that we did them on didn't have like super high speed 3D ability. So it was kind of an older Fanuc control. I think it was like a 16, and yeah, just had a good tool changer size, so was able to do everything, and we just got it done. Again, some things we make for fun. We don't really make a lot of them. We just do it because we wanted it. Sometimes we make them, sometimes we don't.
Yeah, there's been a lot of things that didn't necessarily make it to production. That I remember walking around and seeing them when I was here originally, and some things have been cleaned up around the office, and some of those don't exist anymore. But
I found some rims the other day that I'm like, made these like 10 years ago, never finished them.
I remember a couple of those, mainly 2.2s, not as many 1.9s, but I do remember the 2.2s.
Was it like I hate to say poison spider rims.
Yep, it was the poison spider wheels.
We actually had those done. Never made them and never sold them.
Yeah, poison spider, and I think poison spider was sold at around that point to ATS or something like that. The wheel design, and it just never made it through. There was one or two other ones as well, but I remember I was like, oh, I could run these, but then they had like a different hole pattern on the back. You had made a number of them, so we had like a couple of trays of them, but it was like a 4-hole rear ring for a 2.2, and it just never existed. So I was like, oh, never mind. I can't even run the fancy ones that will never exist.
You could have asked me. Could have made one. Or you could have jumped on a machine and learned.
Yeah. Just dive in there.
I've offered to teach him anytime he wants.
Yeah,
I even forced him to make some parts.
I did make some parts one time. I broke a saw, and made a loud noise. Wasn't a fan. Poison Spider rock sliders for the SCX3. Those rock sliders, even for the SCX1, where they were first made for, those were a lot of parts. There was a lot of stuff in that.
Yeah.
The brawler rockers.
Well, we finally sold everything though.
Yeah, like we had a lot of those, and
Then we have leftover parts that we used in the Origin.
Yeah, we used them in the Origin and in the Ripper.
Oh yeah, the standoffs.
The standoffs and sliders here were because we had a bunch, and we're like, well, just use those.
Yeah. So, why reinvent the wheel?
So that was all because the original Poison Spider ones were just like, oh, we still have some.
Yeah.
I think we had overmade on some of the parts is why that they actually existed. Is there a closet somewhere with one-offs and never made production parts? Not a closet. Not that.
There's my desk.
Yeah, there's desks and drawers and random places that they just happen to be. You run across them every once in a while. Just joined video. Are you guys going to have a good amount of inventory at Proline by the Fire? Oh, that's actually a good question. So no, we won't have like regular inventory there. And I meant to talk about this earlier, but for those of you that are still here, even though we're at the end, we'll have some special stuff at Proline by the Fire that you guys can pick up. It'll be PayPal only. No cash. I'm not carrying cash. So it'll be PayPal only. Limit 1 per PayPal address. So stop by the booth at Proline by the Fire. We'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's going to be a great time. So it is 4 o'clock. There was other new products on the website today, in case you didn't know. All the titanium links like this are on the website, from 40 millimeters to 170 millimeters. In packs of 2, they started like $10 a pair for titanium, which is awesome. Comp Stance coffee mugs are on the website now. Clear Fordyce cabs are on the website. KMC Riot plastic beadlock wheels are up. And the straight incision tie rod for the front of the Fordyce or any F10 is also available. So there you go. That's Tuesday. Jim's got to go.
Looks like they'll come back again. There's more questions.
There is lots. See,
There you go. We'll come
that's
back
why
again.
that's why we only do an hour. Thanks, everybody. We'll